Hey, what's up guys? This is an unboxing and review of the Shure BT-2 Wireless Bluetooth cable. Now previously Shure released the original BT-1 cable, but back then the cable itself cost $100 and there were a lot of negative reviews about the sound quality as well as the connectivity, so I decided to pass on those. These right here are the successor to the original, and they have made both some physical and internal changes. These used to be priced at $150, which I think is very steep for a Bluetooth cable, but now halfway into 2020, the price currently sits at $50, so I finally decided to give them a try. First off, with the packaging, you get a bunch of paperwork and instruction manuals, a standard micro USB charging cable, and the cable itself. The paperwork has instructions which tell you the basics of how to operate the cable, with warranty, registration cards, and stuff like that. Moving on to the cable, the first thing that caught my eye was that the big block at the end, which is where the battery and the Bluetooth is bigger than I expected. It's a lot bigger in person than how Shure makes it look like in the photos, and I'm pretty sure that they did this on purpose by putting the battery pack all the way in the back of their photos, but it's not huge or anything. The cable uses two MMCX connectors and has buttons on the right cable for play, pause, power on, volume up, down, basic functions like that. So after a couple of days of testing, I found these to be a pretty good option to turn any in-ear monitor which uses MMCX connectors into a pair of Bluetooth earphones, but it isn't perfect. For my testing, I used this with my FiiO FA7 in-ear monitors. So, if you were wondering if any IEMs with MMCX connectors will work, yes they will. It doesn't have to be Shure IEMs. So in this review, the main talking points will be comfort, functionality, Bluetooth range and signal, battery life, and then the sound quality. Starting with the comfort, I found that it is okay for the most part, but it can be a little awkward and clunky, especially with this big piece at the end. If I try to clip it onto the front of my shirt, it looks a little weird because the distance is a little short, and it also drags my shirt down. But I found this to be the most comfortable, especially when walking or moving around. If I just don't clip the end of it and let it dangle, I found that this can also work, but you can feel the pack moving and swinging, especially if you are walking. And this also comes with a bunch of microphonic sounds coming from the cable, as it rubs against your shirt. Another way is to have it clip behind your neck, but I found this to be way too difficult and troublesome to take on and off, so I basically never do this. So overall, in terms of comfort and design, I found it to be okay. I did try many different ways to wear this thing, but I found that every single way does have some kind of drawback. What works the most for me is basically just clipping it to the front of my shirt. Moving on to the functionality, I found that it works well and it does what it's supposed to do. There are volume up and down buttons, as well as a power on button. The play pause button is also the power on button, and it is slightly elevated so you can clearly feel which button it is. Hold the button to power it on, and you will hear a voice tell you that the thing is on, with how many hours of listening you have left, and also the connection status. Overall, I found the basic functions to work well, such as the volume up and down, holding the volume up button to skip a track, stuff like that, and I don't have any issues. You can also activate the voice assistant on your phone by holding the power button for 3 seconds, which is a nice feature. When you power it off, you hold the button for 5 seconds, and the voice will tell you goodbye. One important thing that I like about the functionality is that it can pair with multiple Bluetooth devices. I have it paired to both my phone and my laptop, and I can easily transition from one to another without having to pair and unpair. For example, when it's connected to my laptop, I just have to disconnect, and then it will automatically switch to my phone when Bluetooth is on. Now let's talk about the strength of the signal as well as the range. I found both of these to be excellent, and I haven't had any real issues with my connectivity. I found the range to be quite accurate, and I can comfortably walk around 30 or so feet away from my phone before hearing any kind of drops, and whenever I am near my phone, the signal remains very strong without any hiccups or cuts in between. One big improvement with this BT2 cable over the original BT1 is that this one uses Bluetooth 5.0. The latency is also really low, and I didn't experience any delay when watching videos, which is a big plus. As for battery life, a full charge can basically last me the whole day as I use my earphones on and off. At the end of the day, I will still have about 60% left, and the voice assistant will tell me that I still have over 4 hours of listening time. Now these have an advertised battery life of about 10 hours, and I found that I can actually squeeze just a little over 10 hours. I think it mainly depends on what you are powering and what volume you play your music at. For me, the FA7 are very easy to drive, so when listening at low volumes, this probably extends the battery life by quite a bit. One thing I do wish that was improved is the charging time, as it does take a few hours to charge, especially if the battery is dry. To charge the cable, you just open the little rubber flap on the bottom, and the light will show red when it's charging, and it will turn off when it's full. So finally we get to the sound. The big question is there any difference from the wired sound compared to Bluetooth? And from my testing, the answer is yes. I did actually hear a difference, but a very slight difference. I would say from my direct side-to-side testing, I heard about a 5 to 10% drop in clarity and overall detail. After listening to them wired, and then switching over to Bluetooth, I could tell that the sound wasn't as clean, and the treble didn't extend as far, and as a result, some detail was lost. But overall the differences were very slight, and if you aren't sitting in a quiet room, I think the differences will be negligible. After all, I did purchase these so then I can use my FA7 on the go, and it does a great job with providing me excellent sound quality out of a Bluetooth adapter. I also don't hear any hiss coming from this device, which is of course a huge plus. I heard that some cheaper adapters out there have some kind of hiss, but this doesn't have any from my testing. So in conclusion, I think that this is one of the better Bluetooth adapters out there to turn any of your favorite wired IEMs into a pair of excellent sounding wireless ones. It isn't perfect, with my main issues with it coming from the physical design of the big block at the end, but other than that, it does what it needs to do and it provides great sound. They aren't true wireless, as this thing still has wires, but I found that this thing just works perfect for what I need. At the original price of $150, I would say that this is a really expensive cable, and I personally wouldn't have purchased it at that price, but now since it is basically a third of the price, I think it is an excellent buy. With this thing you can really turn any pair of your favorite IEMs into wireless IEMs, as long as it uses the MMCX cable. So that's it for this review. I hope that helped you guys out, and thanks for watching.